No beach, no skyline, no nightlife. If you described Pembroke Pines as someone using only the things Florida is famous for, it would sound like a reason to skip it entirely. And yet, close to 180,000 people live here. The population has climbed steadily for over a decade, and plenty of them could afford to live in Miami or Fort Lauderdale instead, yet they choose not to. But why is that? It comes close to 5 specific advantages this city gets right, and also 5 real trade-offs that you may not be fully aware of. So stick around, because if you're going to decide which city to move to in South Florida, this video may convince you that Pembroke Pines is the right choice, or it might convince you to move on. Quick context before we get into the list. Pembroke Pines is a suburb in Broward County, sitting between Fort Lauderdale to the north and Miami to the south. Close enough to both that residents regularly work in either one. Pembroke Pines does have about 180,000 people, making it one of the larger cities in Broward County, even though it rarely gets discussed the way Miami, Fort Lauderdale, or some of the other local cities do. It's also been a steady, consistent growth story. Nothing like the explosive pandemic-era surges you saw elsewhere in Florida, but a slow, reliable climb that suggests that people who move here tend to stay. It carries a reputation as a planned suburban city with wide streets, shopping centers, and a level of order that stands in contrast to the density of Miami or the tourist energy of Fort Lauderdale. Let's get into exactly what that means, starting with 5 of the biggest reasons people choose to live in Pembroke Pines. Before we get started, if this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything about living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and the surrounding cities like Pembroke Pines, then subscribe below so you can be the first to know about our current market here. My name is Hector Valdez, and I'm born and raised and have lived in South Florida my entire life. My team and I love helping people make their move to Fort Lauderdale, whether it's 9 days or 9 months. Feel free to reach out. Our contact information is in the description below, and we'd be happy to help you make a smooth move to Fort Lauderdale. All right, so let's start with pro number 1, location. Pembroke Pines being in the middle of everything. So the biggest structural advantage Pembroke Pines has is geography. It sits almost exactly between 2 major job centers, Miami to the south and Fort Lauderdale to the north. And it's served directly by 3 major highways, I-75, I-95, and the Florida Turnpike. That means many residents genuinely enjoy the flexibility most South Florida suburbs don't have. You're not locked into one city's particular job market. If you land a job in Fort Lauderdale, you're reasonably positioned. If your next job is in Miami, you don't have to move to take it. For dual income households where each partner works in different cities, that flexibility can be the deciding factor over almost anywhere else in Broward County. It also puts recreation within easy reach of both directions. Hollywood Beach is roughly 25 to 35 minutes away, and the Everglades are just a short drive west, giving residents a genuine choice between beach days and airboat tours without a long-haul drive in either direction. Pro number 2, a genuinely strong local job market. Pembroke Pines isn't just a bedroom community that depends entirely on Miami and Fort Lauderdale for employment. It has real substantial job anchors of its own. Healthcare is a big one. Memorial Healthcare System operates major facilities in and around the city, including Memorial Hospital West, supporting thousands of jobs in medicine, administration, and support services. Education is another one. Broward College's South Campus and the proximity to Florida International University create a steady base of academic and training sector jobs. Retail and commerce around Pembroke Pines are anchored by the Pembroke Lakes Mall, the shops at Pembroke Gardens, alongside a growing base of corporate professional service jobs in finance, real estate, and administration. The unemployment numbers back this up. Multiple independent trackers have put Pembroke Pines' unemployment rate meaningfully below the national average in recent years. A sign of a genuinely functional local economy, not just a suburb that empties out every morning towards someone else's downtown. You'll really like this next pro. The next advantage is the one that actually shows up in daily life the most, whether you have kids or not. It's also one that surprised us most when researching this. Pro number 3, parks and outdoor recreation. If green space and recreation amenities matter to you, then Pembroke Pines delivers at a level that surprises a lot of newcomers. The city maintains a whopping 40 parks, and the flagship is C.B. Smith Park, a sprawling recreational space with a full water park, picnic areas, fishing, biking trails, and even camping facilities all inside the city limits. Beyond C.B. Smith, residents point to Flamingo Gardens, a wildlife sanctuary and botanical garden, for a slower-paced outdoor day. And research on livability consistently shows this matters more than people expect going in. The majority of US adults rate access to parks and recreational facilities as a genuinely important factor when choosing where to live. And Pembroke Pines scores well specifically because of how many of its recreational facilities, gyms, playgrounds, multi-purpose fields are rated in good, well-maintained condition. Outdoor exposure, walking daily steps, has increasingly become important for health in recent years. For families, retirees, or anyone who actually uses outdoor space rather than just wanting to live near a beach they visit maybe twice a year, this is a real, tangible advantage to Pembroke Pines. Pro number 4, a genuine value compared to its neighbors. So compared to Fort Lauderdale and Miami specifically, Pembroke Pines offers a real discount. Median home values here have been estimated anywhere roughly in the $590,000 range for the last 12 months. Well below what comparable square footage costs closer to the water in either neighboring city. That's the median. So you can find some real value there. For a household that wants access to South Florida's job market, climate, and lifestyle without paying full waterfront adjacent prices, that gap matters. It's part of why the city continues to attract steady, sustained interest from people relocating from dense, more expensive parts of Miami-Dade or Broward County, rather than just moving in and out of state. So I think this next pro is really going to surprise you. It's all about what it actually feels like to live in the city day to day. Pro number 5, cultural diversity and community life. Pembroke Pines is a genuinely diverse city. More than a quarter of the residents here identify as Hispanic or Latino, and a large share of the population speaks Spanish as a primary or secondary language. That diversity shows up in daily life, not just a demographic statistic. And there's a real calendar of cultural festivals, farmers markets, and community events running throughout the year here. Supported in part by the city's own Arts Council, which funds arts education and cultural programming and actively advocates for the arts at the city level. And yes, there is culture here. There's also an active performance and gallery scene anchored by venues like the Pembroke Pines Performing Arts Center, hosting concerts, dance recitals, and theater. Now, it's not the scale of Miami's art scene, but for a suburb of this size, it's a genuine active cultural community, one that residents who grew up here consistently point to as a meaningful part of what shaped their experience in the city. All right, so next up we have 5 cons. And as much as you may like everything so far, this may make or break your view and experience of Pembroke Pines. All right, con number 1, the commute is longer than it looks on a map. Remember that middle of everything location from pro number 1? Here's the flip side to that. The average one-way commute in Pembroke Pines runs close to 30 minutes, with some estimates putting it even higher, around 40 minutes. That is meaningfully worse than the national average of roughly 26 minutes. Good highway access on paper doesn't always mean a short commute in practice. I-75, I-95, and the Turnpike all serve the city, but it also serves everyone else trying to get in and out of Miami and Fort Lauderdale at the same time that you are. Residents who work in either downtown core routinely describe rush hour trips stretching well past what Google Maps promise. If your job is anchored in Brickell or downtown Fort Lauderdale, that central location advantage can turn into an hour or more of daily driving round trip. Now, luckily we do have express lanes on some of our highways that can lessen the blow, but you'll need to plan accordingly. Con number 2, you cannot live here without a car, period. This is a car-dependent city, full stop. Nearly 84% of commuters get to work by car. Less than 1% use public transportation, less than 1% walk. Groceries, school drop-off, dinner, errands, virtually everything requires driving. because the city itself was built around wide roads and parking lot anchored shopping centers rather than walkable streets. If you're relocating from a city where you could reasonably get around without owning a car, this is going to be a real adjustment for you. And you need to budget for it, both in terms of vehicle and the insurance and maintenance that comes with it. Mentally prepare for the daily routine being built entirely around driving. Okay, so don't skip this next part if you think Pembroke Pines is a value, because value is always in the eye of the beholder. Con number 3, the cost comparison only works in one direction. We discussed value earlier. Pembroke Pines is genuinely cheaper than Miami or Fort Lauderdale. But the flip to that is the comparison to the national average. And the picture changes. Multiple cost of living indexes put Pembroke Pines around 13% above the national average, with median home values roughly 30% above the national median. The US News Housing Analysis goes further, describing Pembroke Pines as carrying a higher cost of living than similarly sized metro areas once you weigh in housing costs against median household income. In other words, it's a discount relative to its neighbors, but not a discount relative to the country. If you're relocating from New York, Los Angeles, or South Florida in general, this will feel like a real savings. But if you're relocating from Texas, Georgia, most of the Midwest, budget for a genuine cost of living increase, not a bargain. Con number 4, no real downtown, no real nightlife. Pembroke Pines doesn't have a central walkable downtown. There's no historic main street, no single neighborhood that functions as the heart of the city. Life here happens across a scattered collection of shopping centers, a big mall, and commercial strip centers. Convenient for errands, but not built for big city living. And there is zero nightlife by South Florida standards. If you want live music on a Friday night, a real bar scene, or the kind of walkable entertainment district you'll find on Fort Lauderdale's Los Olas or in Miami's Brickell neighborhood, you're driving 30 to 45 minutes to get to it. Residents who grew up in the city consistently name this as the one thing they'd change first. You do have Pembroke Lakes Mall with big anchor stores and many retailers, and Pembroke Gardens with dozens of restaurants and more shopping options. But it's not a downtown city vibe. Con number 5, weather cuts both ways. Pembroke Pines gets the warm, sunny South Florida climate that draws people to the state in the first place. But it also gets everything that comes with it. Summers bring genuinely heavy rainfall and frequent afternoon storms, along with humidity that defines a subtropical climate for roughly half the year. That's not unique to Pembroke Pines, but it's worth saying plainly for anyone moving from a drier or more temperate climate. The sunny day marketing photos don't show the July afternoon when it rains for 45 minutes straight every single day for weeks in a row. And because it's much more of a west location located near the Everglades, you're not getting a refreshing sea breeze, so the heat can be quite stifling as compared to the east side neighbors. It's a trade-off for most residents, and the sunny, pleasant stretches genuinely outnumber the stormy, steamy ones. But it's a real adjustment and not something minor for anyone coming from somewhere with 4 distinct seasons and low humidity. So here's the bottom line. So you have 5 real pros: a genuinely useful location between 2 major job markets, a solid local employment base of its own, strong parks and outdoor recreation, real value when compared to its pricey neighbors, and an active, diverse community life. But you have 5 real cons: a commute that's longer in practice than the map suggests, total car dependency, a cost of living that's only a bargain when compared locally and not to the country, no real downtown or nightlife, and a summer climate that takes some genuine adjustment. Pembroke Pines isn't hiding any of this. It's built exactly the suburb it's set to build, and it delivers on that specific promise. The only real mistake is moving in expecting a different one. If this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything about living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida and the surrounding cities like Pembroke Pines, then subscribe below so you can be the first to know about our current market here. My name is Hector Valdez. I'm born and raised and have lived in South Florida my entire life. My team and I love helping people move to South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, or Pembroke Pines, whether it's 9 days or 9 months. Feel free to reach out. Our contact information is in the description, and we'd be happy to help you make a smooth move to Fort Lauderdale. Catch you in the next video.